Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's No FOMO Charts, Stocks, and TA Crypto live stream. Today is January 29th, 2023. It's about 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a big week this week, very big week for stock earnings here in the USA. Big tech, there's a lot to go over. So let's start with stocks. We have AMD reporting this week. Electronic Arts. I'll just go over the high level first. So we have AMD, McDonald's, UPS, eBay, Apple. This is the big one. Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, all the big tech name players, companies, Starbucks, Qualcomm, etc. Very big week. We also have a considerable amount of economic data being released this week. We have the FOMC statement, FOMC press conference, and the federal funds interest rate increase probably on Wednesday. Also, the Bank of England going to release their interest rate changes on the following day, Thursday, UK time. Lots of data. Very big week. In other news, in terms of Microsoft, already reported their earnings last week, but they are introducing a new lower cost cloud and work storage subscription tier, which makes sense because if companies are trying to stay lean and save money and also try to keep making money this year, it's all about the low cost tier. There needs to be an even cheaper tier for people dealing with inflation and monetary issues. Almost everybody will appreciate a lower tier. Imagine if every service you have has a lower tier. I think a lot of people would appreciate that. Over at Asia News, China, Hong Kong reportedly are preparing to reduce their COVID-19 isolation and quarantine requirements. That will hopefully have a positive impact on manufacturing and supply chain output after this New Year's for them is over. South Korea reportedly is preparing to reduce their mask requirements to a recommendation. That should also stimulate the economy by allowing people to go out and stimulate the cash flow of buying and spending with consumers. Also, the Bank of England announcing their interest rate decision a day after the USA. In terms of cryptocurrency, the USA government, specifically the White House, Biden administration, released a roadmap essentially calling for authorities to ramp up enforcement and step up their efforts to regulate the cryptocurrency industry in terms of the corporation side. That's coming after what happened with Luna and FTX. In terms of what's going on in Europe, unfortunately, the Russia-Ukraine war continues. Germany and USA have agreed to send military aid and tanks to Ukraine. So that's kind of upping that level. Also, I didn't write it on here, but there are the talks about China, Taiwan, and USA and how that conflict is slowly brewing. Want to watch out for that, especially with what that one Pentagon military official said over the weekend. It's pretty wild stuff. Lastly, in the UK, the National Health Service apparently announced a 2-year recovery plan to help restore emergency care and frontline services. That's also related to the strikes they've been having over there in the UK with a lot of unions as well. So this week is big. I'm expecting big volatility, either up or down, because you have earnings. For example, you have Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, Facebook is on here too. Meta, Facebook as well. And then you got FOMC press conference, the interest rate on Wednesday in America. So it's a big week. That doesn't mean that a trader or investor has to try to follow everything. It's just there's a lot going on this week. All right. Before we begin, hello, welcome on TradingView, YouTube, and Twitch, everyone who is watching. I want to start off with stocks and then transition to crypto. If you have a request, just go ahead and let me know earlier instead of at the end. So just let me know. But I'm going to go down the usuals. Let's start with SPY, S&P 500. We're on a daily chart right now. We finally start to get this breakout. Now, what I'm concerned about is, all right, this is potentially upside down head and shoulders, a bullish pattern with the neckline just being broken in the past couple of days. We survived that for that last week of earnings. And so the big target, if I measure it, is about 10% from the breakout. 10% up from the breakout would be about 444. I know in my idea on the SPX, it's higher, but that's a more long-term target for investors. But the immediate target is if earnings are good this week, we should hit this bullish target at least 430. We're breaking out above 406. We're trying to hold, or we might break out above 406 in a couple days. It's all pending on the earnings. So in terms of what am I watching out for, we could have a breakout, we could have a pullback, and then maybe if tech earnings are good, let's say Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, if the big tech earnings are great, we might just blast off and you might have a spillover correlation with the crypto market. Just in case things are bad, the flip side argument is it's right at a double top resistance below 407. So if earnings are bad, it could immediately drop back down, either halfway down to 376 or all the way back down to 356. Let me check a weekly chart. Weekly chart showing no signs yet of pullback or sell-off. So if this higher low is true, 377, higher low, we're trying to hit this higher high up here in the 440s. But just watch out for that. Okay, QQQ, NASDAQ, same thing, QQQ, the weekly, we had a nice, almost basically a double bottom, depends on how somebody interprets this, double bottom, or just a higher low trying to break out. We just broke out last week on the weekly. Now the daily, if I measure this structure, still about 10% from the breakout. That's why my target is basically up here around the 318 level. Why? We have to think psychologically, why did we sort of bottom out? Well, I can already list off some of the reasons. Number one, we're starting to see signs, the beginning signs of inflation starting to top out in the past like 3 months. Even though GDP data was good, meaning we had higher GDP than expected here in the USA, still the signs of inflation are starting to at least stop in terms of the very strong increase. Also, COVID-19 infections have reduced over the past, I would say, 30 days. The weather is improving as well. People are going out more, and people are hopefully working more or enjoying their leisure time as the weather improves here in America. Also, the market has rallied off of its December low, the crypto market as well. So we might get some bullish follow through in this environment if earnings are good. Now, the question is, how far are we going to go up? All right, we could try to estimate that using a Fibonacci extension. I actually marked this 1618. If we get this one-to-one retracement, 300 and then 312 are the two targets on the upside. The downside, you could also retrace back down to 280 or 270. So instead of showing a bunch of yellow lines, we'll just put X marks the spot in terms of next time. These 4 levels I'm watching on QQQ. Let's go to Dow Jones. Dow Jones still bouncing around in the parallel channel up here. Now this channel is measurable about 5%. If we have a breakout this week on Dow Jones, this is why my blue X target is up here at 358. I do want to mention the Dow Jones is in a golden cross. So if this is real, it should be bullish. It's not 100% always going to go up, but if that stays and we manage to survive, that would be good. You could also see on the weekly chart, it's struggling here to hold below this double top M. One can also draw this kind of pennant up here. But we bounced off this low. October was a beautiful entry. It was very risky back then because nobody knew what was going on in terms of, that's when we just started to see the inflation numbers start to come down. And then we had massive great earnings. So just as a quick recap, we don't want to get too confident in thinking that it's always going to 100% go up. It's not always true. So if it happens to pull back down, 326 is still the support down here. 326, 314 down here. Let me just flip back on a SPY. I saw on a news article saying that SPY is close to golden cross. That's not true on a daily, or at least on my EMAs, on the 50 and 200 EMAs. That's not true. They might be talking about that on a 4 hour, 1 hour, but on daily, no way. Right? The only thing is the price crossed above the 200 EMA, this red line, and it's holding above that. It's going to take months for this thing to golden cross back up. And by that time, the market will be way up. QQQ, same deal. We just hit this 200 EMA target in terms of the resistance point, but nowhere near golden crossing yet. We just had a nice tradable bottom, however, in the past 6 months, 3 months. Quickly go to gold. All right, so gold is a different story. Gold has been in an uptrend. When I have this kind of situation, I always draw a strong trend line because it went parabolic. You could also use the parabola tool, but sometimes drawing it is a little bit, drawing the points can be a little bit tricky, right? Depending on what's going on. So parabolic, right? But I generally don't like to use a tool. It depends. I just like straight trend lines because it's easier to draw and it makes more sense to me. A little more accurate too. So we'll lock this in at the top, rising wedge pattern. So as soon as I see a break to the downside, that could be a sign of weakness for gold. That's not happening yet here. So the immediate support is 177. If it drops below that, then we know we're in trouble. There's a golden cross on gold, so it's like Dow Jones. Now, if I Fibonacci this retracement, where could we pull back to? 175, 170, 166 area. That's what I'm watching out for. Next, silver. Same thing. Silver just kind of topping out. I'm going to draw this as a stronger resistance zone in the yellow. Actually, we could use a parallel channel. Parallel channel. Measured move of what? 5% up or down. 5% to the breakdown is $20. That would bring us back down to test this. Watch out for that. Now, it could also break out 5% to the upside. No problem. No problem. That would take us up to like 23 something, 23.50 and change. You want to watch out for that. So just keeping an eye out here on silver and gold. Let's see on the weekly. We start to have this kind of rounding top. That's why people try to sell off, take their profit as well. Gold, it's kind of this island. It's a hanging man, so I would be a little bit wary of gold at this point. All right, very quickly, US oil. So we have this OPEC JMMC meeting this week as well. I didn't say that in the beginning of the news, but that's a big energy and oil and gas related meeting with many countries inside of the OPEC JMMC. Basically, they're going to talk about current oil output and what the expectation is there. So USO is not like a only technical chart. USO and UNG, I would be very careful with these charts. Trying to trade it, it's very fundamental based, news based. So we did have a rounding top action above, just below the $73 area. If it does not break out, there's plenty of downside room. So I would watch out for that. If there's any bad news at the OPEC meeting this week, you might want to watch out for that. Where levels, gap fill to the downside, 68, 66, 64, and 62. Let me erase some of these other targets. We already hit that downside target who was trying to short that. Weekly pullback. All right, let's go back to UNG, United States Natural Gas, selling off very hard in the downtrend, but there is this momentum. I attempted to scout out this, but I got stopped out actually. So I'm gonna have to wait a little bit because I believe in the future natural gas, this thing can pop. It's just a matter of when. Just a matter of when. Right? Because I like sometimes going oversold is bad setup because it just keeps dropping. But if I manage to catch that bottom, you get some nice pop-ups in terms of profit, like 25% to 30%. So I'm still kind of waiting for this one to happen in terms of 11%, 25%, possibly even 50% if things go really well. But this thing keeps getting sold off and shorted down to the downside. On the weekly, there's considerable amount of bullish momentum that's building. It's pressure, it's building. You're on the 4 hour, it's building. in the 1 hour, but it's very fundamental based. That's why I don't push this chart that much. When it happens, it happens. In terms of the support level, it could drop all the way down to $8. That's very significant, 20% down. So, I don't want to give people a bad impression about this one, but when it happens, I would like to see that rally back up to the upside when it happens. Hello. All right, let's do some stock names. 1 second. Let me turn display off. Get my list out from earlier. And let's go down some of those stock names just to see what's going on here. Let's start with AMD. Actually, let's start with Tesla. So Tesla had very nice profit, swing trading this. Yes, somebody might say, oh, this guy got so lucky, but it's not really is. I played the oversold setup, right? Oversold setup. And since everyone kind of is familiar with Tesla, not just Elon Musk, but their products, and they happen to have a good enough earnings, they beat some of their other numbers and the expectations. And it's very oversold stock. So basically, I'm up like almost 50% profit on my swing trade. So me getting stopped out at UNG, it's no big deal, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. Tesla was a great swing trade for me. But the problem is it's now approaching this overbought range. So instead of just panic selling tomorrow, I'm probably just going to move my stop loss or something up. So into profit zone. So even if it pulls back, it's no problem. 1 hour is uptrending. It's in this overbought range though on the RSI. You want to watch out for that. A little bit of bearish double top, almost bearish momentum pullback. So this thing might pull back. That's why people don't FOMO too hard on this. There was great setup in early January. It was scary for people mentally, but 67% to the upside in about 3 weeks. Nice potential there. So it just depends on what time frame somebody's on. If somebody's trying to scalp this 1 minute thing tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. or 10 o'clock, it's a different setup versus what I'm looking at here on the 4-hour daily because it's so overbought right now. Weekly, it might go up, retrace. We already hit the 618 retrace. That's why I'm preparing to possibly take some profit here because this looks like a short squeeze that happened in terms of the low high, low high, low high right here. It could bounce all the way to 50% if some Reddit Wall Street bet people keep trying to push it back up, or if there's some fundamental change on Tesla. But 167 or something would be a decent little stop out point for some profit. All right, let's move over to AMD. AMD, let me erase this just to get this simple chart up here. So AMD is still in the downtrend, but making this higher low. So where is AMD? AMD is like in this blue circle right now, right? You have this carbon copy, and that's what I've been saying for several months on the stream is, well, if we have good earnings, watch out for this carbon copy. We kind of had that in October, a pull back into December, but then expectations for this year are basically generally positive, although people are struggling with their finances. It's just the future outlook of, wait a second, if COVID infections come down and restrictions come down for travel, and companies are, yes, they're laying off people, but also they're making moves to try to stimulate sales, right, in their companies, and people are able to purchase those goods, that would mean in the future earnings, things can go up, right? So a lot of it's just like I remember it's like what Jim Cramer said on CNBC. He always says this, but I'm paraphrasing. The market prices in the expectation of what happens before it actually happens, right? Meaning people think like, oh, this year's going to be good or bad, or this company's going to be good or bad, and then they buy that stock, right? Or something happens fundamentally and it takes us to the upside. So AMD, we do have less PC demand. That's what they keep saying, right? And AMD released their new 7000 series chips this year. It's right at this resistance on my logarithmic chart. Thank you for the follow on TradingView. Thank you for joining here. Now, if I box it in, this makes total sense. We had a super oversold setup on October. Okay, now we hit the higher low support play, and now we're at the resistance zone of this wedge. I'm only looking at it two ways. On earnings, high, low, higher, high could potential breakout. All right. If you measure this little, sometimes I do conservative measurements. I don't want to give people a wrong idea here. It could go 25% to the upside. Now, what would make AMD do that? Let's say if they have some blowout, amazing earnings, and they say they're going to either build a chip plant or buy different chips, say from TSMC or something. TSMC is building factories in Arizona over the next 4 to 6 years, 2 to 4, 6 years. So there's probably going to be some mention about that. There's probably going to be some mention about chip demand, PC demand, server side, corporate side demand, and watch out for that. That's what I'm, looking at. Now, if it's going to double top, if they have any bad earnings at all, I'm looking, okay, well, maybe short it down then to maybe about $60 or about 54, 55. We might not revisit this. It's like the same mentality as Bitcoin. If we never go back down to $16,000 Bitcoin, which we'll get to, is literally it's giving us increased chance of going bullish this year on crypto. Same thing with tech stocks. If AMD never goes back down to $57 this year, this could be the sign that we might reverse out of here, especially if inflation comes down this year. The only thing is it's death crossed. But to get out of a death cross, let's see if it's going to. When do we have death cross? Back in 2018, right? This is what I'm saying. Is it was not as bad as right now for AMD, but is down, 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 and then at a certain point, never, and then it just went up. But back then, AMD was like $10, so it might not happen again, right? It was up, 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 and we're down, down, down now. So in a very, very long-term chart, if we zoom out to like a weekly or even a monthly chart, let's look at monthly. This is where AMD is right now on a monthly. There's support on the monthly side above $42. So AMD could drop all the way down to $42 in a bearish case, and then some people are going to try to save it at $30, $40. Like big banks, they just want it. In terms of the short-term trade, though, it's still in this consolidation pattern. Wherever it finds the support, anywhere above $30 to $60, which is a huge range. But you get the idea of if it's bearish, we could continue all the way down to there and then bounce off of that for like a 5-year hold. Weekly, though, we did have this below 200 EMA setup. That's why we're having this bounce. So that's a very, very long explanation of what's happened to AMD price. And it's very similar to NVIDIA as well, that kind of mentality. Let me just Fibonacci this all the way back to 2016. We can see right off of our 618 weekly, tested that even the golden pocket, the 650, which is a very uncommon number, but right inside there, if you know crypto, right off the 618, and then we can hit the 50% to the 382 retrace. But I don't play earnings before typically unless I have a very good assessment of the company. So I'm watching this right now very closely. Let's go to McDonald's. McDonald's, very famous global brand. I even ate McDonald's like last week. So what's going on here with McDonald's? We have a resistance 277. It's going sideways, and McDonald's is one of the companies that really helped the Dow Jones blast off bullish. This is almost kind of turning into this parallel channel right here, right? We have some price poking at the downside. I'm just going to lock it in like this, though. We're locking it like this. Somebody could draw a triangle from this downside here. Like that. So somebody could say, wait a second. Isn't this an ascending triangle? Yes, it could be. That's why I'm very closely watching 277. 277 is our resistance zone. And reporting earnings pre-market, this is a very large ascending triangle, plus or minus 15% for investors. If this happens, if this is true, this could be a 318 target. If we lose that, could fall back all the way down to 2022 lows, 223. McDonald's is probably going to survive though as a company. Just getting our earnings target. It's been in a weekly uptrend. The pandemic was such an interesting discount. I mean, wow, what a phenomenal 100% increase from pandemic lows. McDonald's did not really, uh, crash that much last year. It's one of the staple foods in America, at least. Just had some nice dips, but because it's floating up here in terms of the price, it is it is golden cross on one of these short-term EMAs, my blue and purple lines. But at the same time, it's not at a dip zone, so I just watch out for this one. Just just watch out. Only thing is it's golden crossed on McDonald's. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you for the follow. So let me see. Let me just get my we're getting hungry thinking about McDonald's now. Let me see. Finviz. Let me bring out. Let me just look at one number here on the chart. Like a $6. So $6 in terms of 289 to the upside mark move. So you could see, I mean, McDonald's is probably not going to go like plus 20% a day unless some major change happens, right? So it's just plus or minus 10% right now at the time of this video. Let's move on. I'm not going to spend all day long looking at these, but we got to do the big 3 or 4 really fast, like Apple, Amazon, Google. All right, so let me just take that off there. Apple, right? What's going on Apple? Apple did not really crash that much in 2022-21. We had some nice dips, a lot of volatility, but there's other stocks who crashed like negative 50% here in the market. One moment, please. So I can put it in a parallel channel like this, and we can. This might not be technically textbook perfect, but to me, it still makes sense. Right? I'm trying to box in the price like here on a parallel channel. It try to break out, support, support, support. So you can see it's near the bottom side of the 4-year channel. So when we look at the price like this, actually, if earnings are good, Apple might have some upside. What's going on? They're releasing iPhone 15 probably later this year. Apple just released M2 Mac Minis and the new version of their MacBook Pros. Basically 5 days ago. I've been looking at that. So you can see if their sales are good, interesting, you could have a bullish moment. It's going to take probably a year, but I can see Apple eventually getting up to $300 if the market recovers. The only problem is that's the bullish case. I don't want to get too happy about that. If we lose this downside about like 135, if it rejects, if Apple has really terrible earnings, this thing could reject further down. And where would it go down? Let's take a look. It just bounced off of that 382, rejecting down below the 236. Low, high, that's still lower high, lower low. So it could bounce up to 163 and then maybe we'll fall back to 112. If Apple goes to like $90, I definitely want to buy some of that. Definitely after the stock split too. So in terms of the trend line, you can kind of see it. You get what I'm saying is that if still consolidating, I like this actually. If it was like that, that would be very bad. But if it's kind of consolidating, it's fine. It's fine. Let the market, let the economy do its thing in terms of contraction, and then we'll have more upside once the market recovers. So let's see. Alphabet, let's go to Google. Google, same thing, right? In terms of the setups. So these are mostly educational setups. But what can we learn from this is okay, if I see Google on the chart like this and I'm saying, oh, this is pretty nice. Google was basically almost 50% off is like 45. 44% off discount, and then make an entry. 10% stop loss is very large. Very large. But I put the stop loss below, it was like, what is it, 81.69 area, or just 82.31. The price never hit that. That's why I was safe. It pierced, pretty significantly into my stop loss, like negative 6%. But if you're a swing trader, 6% stop loss, you guys know that's normal. Generally, it's not 6% of total capital. It's only about like 1 or 2% total capital. That's why when this thing moves around, who cares? I don't care that much. What I care about is my only two targets: 111 or 82. That's all I care about. 111, 82. If it floats around my entry, whatever, that's what the price does. That's the algorithms, that's the banks trying to kick me out, and I'm saying no. I'm still in this position. Now I'm in profit. That's just quick mentality from my experience. Also, I don't really like to compare trading to gambling, but if somebody's trading with no stop loss, no plan, no strategy, then it becomes gambling. So I would caution people for that. But the only thing I will say for trading is that if you ever played Texas Hold'em poker for fun in your life, a card game here in the United States, which people play for fun or play for money, like in Las Vegas, is the only thing I take from that is the psychological aspect, meaning you're going to hold your cards, you're going to fold your cards. But for trading, what I learned over the years is instead of no limit style trading, like meaning all in your funds on one stock is not the smartest move for longevity. I like to think of it as limit hold'em. Trading is like limit hold'em. It should be like limit hold'em, where it's minimum, let's just, for example, like $100 loss and then $200 gain. That's very safety limit, right? But if somebody has infinite loss and then no plan to exit for profit, there's no strategy there. Does that make sense? So for me, I have a 2-to-1 and it's floating around here with a calculated amount of capital downside and a calculated amount on upside. This is not my final sell target in case the market happens to, in case this is the bottom of the market. This is not the final sell target. This could definitely easily penetrate to the upside and go all the way back to all-time highs if the market recovers, if the economy recovers. But I just want to point that out. That setup was there for a lot of tech stocks, and it's not 100% like, oh, now's the time to buy. It's just kind of like, is it 60%, 70% bullish? I always think of it like that. How many percent? It's like a scale for me. Wish I had a picture for that, but it's like a balance scale for me. Is it 55% bearish setup, 60% bearish, or is it 60% bullish? And I try to find things like that. That's the general mentality. So if this is going to be a true double bottom and Google earnings, it's on Thursday, February 2nd. If this is a W pattern, might go 15% to the upside, right into my target, basically, right into my 115 target. I know I just drew a ton of trend lines, but I like to leave that up there because I know this is a roof. This is a horizontal roof. There's one roof resistance here, and there's also another resistance here. So I'm just watching these three levels. And cognizant, I'm aware of there could be downside as well. Because this doesn't have to go up. You bad earnings, this thing crash back down. Let me see. Bring up one panel here. Okay, it's about $3. $3 move. About 3%. Not bad. Volatility. All right, let's move on. Amazon, I'll get to the request soon if anybody has requests. Thank you for the follow here on TradingView, YouTube, and Twitch. If you have a request for crypto or something, just let me know. Amazon. All right, Amazon is slightly different. Amazon. Wow. After the stock split, Amazon and CEO change. Amazon a downtrend. Laid off 18,000 plus workers. Very sad story, unfortunately. But you have to realize once Amazon, for me, psychologically, hit 2020 pandemic lows, that's the exact support level right here at $82. I'm going to call it 82 support, 82 support. That was if you know your support and resistance, that was definitely a breakout spot, tested in 2019, basically tested in 2020, and then finally blasted off, then consolidated. This is a very good case study for charts. If somebody wants to learn charts, I always used to study the biggest companies and just go all the way back to the price history. Because what is all this? This is just going sideways, basically. I mean, there's a crash, but if you think long term, like 2 years, you zoom out, maybe on a weekly or monthly, this is just going sideways for the most part in a very large range, at least in 2020 in the beginning. Then we had the crash, held that support, a US government stimulus check saved us, and then we started trending up, right? It went from sideways, kind of this crash, trending up, and then we went sideways again. In 2021, when we're going sideways in Amazon, I knew there is something wrong with this stock. Why is it? It's not growing anymore. It's not growing anymore. Then you can see the subsequent crash, retest. People are saying, no, don't go down. Market's panicking, crash. Then oversold traders say, oh, it's so low, bounce. Earnings, good. Then shorts say, nope, inflation, crash. Back down to where? $81. And then people like me saying, oh, this is a very cheap stock. Buy. And then we buy some. Right? In terms of swing traders, investors, Amazon 55% off. Yes. That's a yes for me. Now, how far is it going to go up? Okay. Now we forecast into the future. Lock that in. It's not quite textbook perfect. It's kind of poking out here at the top side, but that's okay with me. If it happens like 1 or 2 times, because that's like that's a test of that resistance. We tried to play this way back in 1 year ago, and then it failed. Hit this bottom, same thing. So now where's the target? It could easily go to 120, 144. Amazon not quite broken out yet. And will there be another CEO change? Possible. That's what we're watching out for. So Thursday is very big day. Thursday, very big day. Right? Negative 20%. Let's say if this hits, there's 20% volatility if it's really bad. Crash. So this move is kind of in the middle. So I would say some people like to buy moves in the middle. Not really my style. But I kind of have to tighten up that stop loss and then just leave it in there. Swing trading is a different mentality. You just have to have, I would say, more emotional resilience and patience. All right. Maybe I'll do a couple. How much time do we have? Well, I went over. Okay. But I think it's worth it going over because I actually taught some educational materials today instead of just TA, technical analysis. Let me do one more. This is Starbucks. I like to focus on big brand name companies that almost everybody knows in the West, or English speaking world. Starbucks Corporation, coffee, like McDonald's, right? Even in a pandemic, people still need their coffee. Even when things go really bad in the world, inflation, people still drinking their coffee. I still see people lined up at Starbucks whenever I walk by. Now, if we zoom out, there is a large trend line here on the bottom. They have their earnings as well. But this parallel channel doesn't really work. I can sort of make a case for it, just barely. So you can see why some of the investors say, oh, this is right here at this trend line dip. Don't mind if I do buy that $68 Starbucks, right up to the middle heart line, up to 105. So they made their 30%. Actually, they made 60%. 50, 60%. Incredible, right? Just like the Tesla move. Now, it reminds me of the pandemic, actually. You had the crash all the way down to that support, and then we're right here right now. Literally right here at this arrow. That can carbon copy. That's just one scenario. But you could see, we could dip after bad earnings, but the rest of the earnings are good, and then we'll blast off into a bullish environment, maybe next year. It's because inflation is here right now and recession risk and even war risk. It's not like last 2020 where we had fiscal stimulus and people had money in their bank accounts. It's kind of a different scenario. So the two scenarios I watch out for Starbucks, if this is a lower high on the monthly, then we could get a double bottom here, or maybe inside of this rectangle parallel channel before it tries to recover in the future into 2024 like that. Or maybe if people just get super excited about the market, we just blast straight off into the top here to 143. But in terms of the volatility, where's the website? Let's just make sure. You'll notice too that as a swing trader, you have time to make decisions, right? $2 move. So 2%. So this is very, very high off its lows. So in terms of, I hope this makes sense to people, is there's a high here and a high here. So where's the next high? Somewhere in the upper 150s if we ever get there. We just bounced off of our low of about $70. Hit the middle heart line about 100. So 100 is our support. If we lose 100, I'll watch out for Starbucks. All right. Before I switch to crypto, I'll do a little answer question because I have there's somebody here. So thank you so much for following. There's a lot of questions. I think I'll just answer one question. Somebody asked like a bunch here on TradingView. Let me look at this. Okay, I'll just do the crypto request because that's actually a good segue into our crypto. Thank you for watching and following. All right, let's just go to total, TOTAL. So TOTAL, crypto market cap. I'll probably do Solana, the request from Solana later. All right, let's do total Bitcoin and then some altcoins. Total market cap, we had a breakout. Very nice. Very similar to QQQ. This risk to reward ratio, be careful of this. I just drew this last time for a random example. You have a tight stop loss and it still went up a little bit like 3%, but it's kind of getting up into that zone. We had this double bottom here off of $700 billion. Broke out here. Now, sometimes crypto doesn't come down to retest the descending triangle or descending wedge, whatever pattern is. It just blasts off because it's crypto. You know, if you get enough momentum upside, people are just going to jump in and buy. And we also have USA tax season. So going into April, after if we survive earnings, going to April, people have a little bit of cash. Some people might buy some Bitcoin. Definitely possible. Want to watch out for our targets. We are approaching the lower part of the 618. For now, it's a resistance play. We just barely broke above 1.03 trillion. 1.15 trillion is our next resistance, 1.3 trillion. Now, let's think about scenarios. Can this definitely blast off and just never come down? Yes, it's possible, but we would need a lot of people in North America, Europe, and Asia regions, just to name a few, to consistently buy every week. Are we in an economic environment where that can happen right now? Maybe not everybody's going to buy like it was compared to end of 2020 or 2017 or even 2019, right? It's a different world we live in right now. So long term, since we're in this downtrend, we just poked out. I was saying this last time. We just poked out above the trend line resistance. So I would like to see a retest. I don't want the market to come down, but I want to see a retest. I want to make sure we're not going to crash down anymore. That's the key for me. Once we never go below, let's say 900, 800, 700 billion, there's probably going to be upside, right? Now, let's look at Bitcoin futures for a second. We want to just get CME, Chicago Futures Exchange data into here. And I'm using a line chart just for contrast reasons, so people can see easier on the charts for now. Here we go on Bitcoin futures, BTC1 exclamation point. This is a nice setup. It was a 2-to-1 play. I remember saying, I forget, this must have been like last month sometime. in terms of watch out for this potential ascending triangle, and bam, we went straight up here. A lot of traders love that setup. There's 30% on Bitcoin. We went double the target. We hit the 32% just about 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So I can imagine some traders, they literally just move their stop loss like this. They took this on their exchange and went like that. So now the stop loss for them is just probably maybe even 20,000 if they're a swing trader, but immediate traders probably 23, 22,000. And if it crashes back down, they're going to stop themselves into profit. Another potential scenario, if we pull back significant long term, we could have the upside down head and shoulders, and then at the end of this year, try to get out of this into this bullish reaction. Thank you for the follow. Now, want to be careful is, again, we just broke out. So how do I control emotional FOMO is understand I don't have to chase anything. So if you have watched my stream for a while, you know my style is I like to buy low and sell high. So this is not low for me relative. Low was back here, that 1516 I kept saying for a month straight. If we hold above 1516, that'll be good. It could have dropped to 10,000. That was also in the cards in terms of going down to 10,000. But we stopped here and now we popped up. Okay. Now what do I need to see on Bitcoin? This thing needs to never come down below 20, basically. The lowest it can go is like 16,000 before somebody's going to say, okay, then it's over, like that. In terms of price, it needs to high, low, high. So somewhere in here, we might just get a little higher low, maybe off of 20,000, and then try to bounce up to the upside. Can we go to $50,000 today? It depends on the buyers. If anyone's shorting this or has been selling it, this is actually a little bit of a short squeeze on the futures side. High, low, high, low. All right, let's try to get to 30,000 in terms of buyers. But in terms of that FOMO setup, if I open this chart at this second in time, it's expensive. It was cheap 2 months ago. Now it's expensive relative for a trade. Weeklies, take a look at weekly Bitcoin. All right, this is what I'm saying is on the weekly, before it explodes, you get the open MACD, histogram. You know, if you study the charts enough, you know what I'm talking about. It's you get MACD, momentum, open, green MACD, open MACD, EMAs. You get some very, very subtle bullish momentum here on the RSI, and then you get that pop up. The market is delayed. So we were watching this. So investors probably watching this for about 3 months, and now we're reaping the rewards. Had to wait 3 months though. Sometimes that's investing or swing trading long term. 1 hour, 4 hour. 4 hour, we're still in this golden cross is good. Now we have all these support levels, 22K, 21K, and 19K. I know there's a lot of lines on the screen. Is it very oversold? No, not right now because it popped up so much. Now it's probably not. Now if you study RSI before, you know 50 is that neutral zone, 50 around the middle here. So if it's going to bounce off of there, it's still trying to straggle and go sideways right now. It's not the lowest price ever. Now it's all about support dip plays if it's going to hold. Kind of hard to see, so let's turn this off now. We're still uptrending on this 1 hour. Again, if the 1 hour can hold, let me see an uptrend on the 4 hour with support holding. Are we going to get up cross on Bitcoin? It's going to take many months. So that's why the true FOMO hasn't even started yet in terms of global FOMO. All right, let's take a look at least at Ethereum, Binance Coin, and I'll look at Solana. So Ethereum, what's going on here? On the daily, almost hit our target. We hit the first target of $1,500, kind of rallying up right here. Our $1,900 is our second target. Sometimes I like to switch to a chart if I have too many drawings. Let me just go to like a Bitfinex, Volt Exchange, go weekly. Let me understand what's happening here. All right, I gotta hurry up and finish. So in terms of the long-term chart, again, if you are subscribed to my TradingView, you know my profile says Bitcoin is trying to bounce off of its weekly trendline support level. Same thing with Ethereum. Same thing with Ethereum. Just like what do we just look at? Apple, McDonald's, Starbucks. You can see the low. You see the low. Maybe this is our third low. If it's our third low, beautiful. Let's go to 5,000 Ethereum. Go, go, go. I mean, it's going to take 1 or 2 years, but if it's going to go up, let's finally go up, right? Here's our high. Here's our high. So the high zone is somewhere up here at any of the old resistances. Let's see. Our head and shoulders on the weekly did not really pan out. It didn't crash down negative 80% like it could have. I was hoping just for cheap prices on Ethereum go down to like 350 and I pick some of that up to get on the upside. You almost that could have been 10x potential in the future. But if it's going to stop here at 900 or 1,000, okay, understandable. It went from 5,000 to 1,000. Okay, that was almost at 75% off. So you could see any of these resistances, 2K, 2,000. I'll just put 3,000 psychological in there, 4,000, and then beyond. It could be the next high cycle. We have to wait for it though. Looking very far ahead, May 2024 is the Bitcoin halvening, and August 2023 is the Litecoin halvening. So you might start to see a lot of from this August to maybe next May in terms of the big rally happening because of the halvening events, especially Bitcoin. Let's go to Binance Coin. BNB. Let me rechart BNB. Binance Coin. Just kind of box that in here. Obviously, huge breakout. Have this resistance at 684, also a support level at 236. Now it's going sideways. Binance Coin, beautiful exchange, but they didn't really have their lowest, right? Ethereum kind of dropped to the low. Binance Coin, not really. It could have dropped further to the upper 150 or 170s. It didn't do that though. It's going sideways for the most part right now. Huge range, 20% range. So can't really call that out. High, high, high. Hopefully this is our low. And then if it bounces bullish, you could kind of see it angling up here at the 300s. Let's see it bounce to 400 or 600. Now, in terms of, I was just randomly trading this as an example, what numbers would I be if I was investing in this? Okay, it's kind of high. I remember Binance Coin was much cheaper, but the immediate stop loss level is 25% for an investor. That's huge percentage of capital, but then they would have to target at least like a 50% or more, and over a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year period for investment. Swing trading is different. I was doing this swing trading. We go to a H4 chart here. Swing trading. I probably would have bought in the end of December if I was trading Binance Coin, which I didn't. But immediately, just knowing the charts and knowing my indicators, where's my low? Here and here. There's a setup here and there's a setup here. If you really know your indicators, but that takes training. It took me years to get that snap decision analysis. For now, in terms of where are we right now, okay, it's in this kind of H4 little bounce up right now, but you're starting to see a little bit of bearish momentum forming. So it's mixed right now. Sometimes you have these rallies. That's why I'm not believing it yet. I'm not believing it yet. Why? It's rallied before in August, November, and it's doing it again now. One of these is going to be the real time, but as soon as the price breaks down and falls below there, it's fake. If this price starts falling below, you lose 300, then this rally is fake. Just watch out for that. All right, finally we could get to Solana. All right. All right, see a little more crypto requests. Thank you for the follow. Let's do Solana. Why do I do it in that specific order? Is because if somebody just goes to their altcoin, they're getting tunnel vision. They're not seeing the whole market. It could be very dangerous. In worst case, it could be like Luna or FTX. Worst case. But if you, unfortunately, if somebody got caught in that, it's very unfortunate. Hopefully the government and corporations can work on that regulation to protect customers. But for me as an analyst and trader, it's good to zoom out, look at as much as possible before making a decision as a swing trader and an investor. So we have this resistance. There was a very interesting trend line going this way. Now, the easiest way to chart Solana is just throw up a Fibonacci. Now we see it was way below the 0.88 retrace in terms of pivots as well. It hit this very low pivot right here at above $10 and bounced off of that pivot point bullish. If you're a Forex trader, you like pivots. Most Forex traders enjoy that. Now, on the RSI side, it was very low. There's bullish divergence, bullish momentum on the daily. We're just starting to, just watch out, just starting to see a little bit of this price kind of go sideways and the MACD starting to down cross. It went to overbought. This is what I'm saying of no FOMO mentality is for crypto investing, there is time to get in on the lows. How much time was here is 60 days. 60 days. 30 days, 60 days. If somebody is really going to do it, they had 60 days to do it. And when it was low, or at least 1 month, excuse me, at least like a week decision time. So swing trading, you have time to make a decision. That's why my streams, there's no rush unless fundamentally something changes with news. But Solana, you could see it's kind of going sideways and it's losing momentum. So I would say watch out for that. Watch out for this one. Weekly, it's not quite super over bought range, and this chart could explode even further to the upside because you can see the top side trend line. It can break out, retest, and then go back to all-time highs if Bitcoin goes to like $50,000. Could definitely do that. Right now in the shorter term time frames, if you might be wondering, is we have H4 going on the uptrend right here. H4 on the uptrend, on the up cross. Now, when I see this very stair-steppy pattern that I'm seeing, there are some bots probably trading this on the exchanges. When I draw this trend line, it's actually been broken to the side. I would be careful of that as a short term. If somebody's trying to do an entry for like this week or something, just kind of watch out for that. Because if we lost the higher low and it's not going to go to a higher high, where else is it going to go except down after attempting? So there's obvious resistance here. There might be a big seller on the level 2 on some crypto exchanges. You might want to just keep an eye on that. $26 to $30 range. So I can imagine some kind of large brick sell wall here that needs to be broken through for the market makers to kind of let go of that position. As long as it holds, lowest it can go is maybe $20. If Solana price loses $20, you might be in, the price might be in trouble short term. But again, watch out. It's close to the resistance zone up here at like a $33 or $40. That's why. If somebody wants to buy it, understand that the stop loss is not all the way down here. The stop loss is much tighter. It's probably anywhere between 5% to 10%, like that. All right. Let's do Rune. I just do 1 request per person, generally. All right, let's look at Rune. I'm just looking at Binance chart, Rune USDT. Hopefully that answers your question. Now, all right. First thing I would say is it going up, sideways, or down? That's the question I trained myself to ask, meaning the price. Is the price going up? Is it basically going sideways, or is it going down? It basically is still going down, but it has a bounce. Short-term uptrend, long-term downtrend. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, if we box it in, had the resistance on top, it was riding that support on the way down, but you see all of this open circle. That's probably what people are wondering. Is it going to go up, or what's going on here? So same thing is, this is a very correlated coin with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin continues to go up, this crypto will also go up. Very cheap though. It's only what is it, $1.88, $1.89. Very volatile. The stop loss all the way down at this low, in terms of the lowest low in November, is 50% negative down. So this is not all in play. Personally, I would not all in this type of coin. Rune, let's see, it only has on this 500K volume, which is very small. So it's just a, altcoin play, small altcoin play. If I put up some Fibonacci here, where's the target? If it's going to continue, if it pulls back, fine, that's okay. It could fall back to the trend line of about $1.60 here, high low, and then try to go up to like 258 or even higher. So as long as it never goes below, let's say $1.30 or $1, we might not need to worry so much. I would keep an eye out on Bitcoin just in case. If Bitcoin starts crashing, maybe just wait for that entry a little bit. Because price-wise, we'll know when we're in an uptrend when we start getting this. And the circle, if it starts rallying like a mad person, it starts mooning basically in crypto terms, then you just got to get in at some point on some dip and just let it run. But when it bounced off a bottom like this, it's still under this trend line. You could see traders are not completely convinced. And if you just came to the stream right now, please, I would recommend watching the beginning because we're going into the biggest stock earnings for Q4 2022 data this week. We have big tech earnings, FOMC interest rate, volatility on Wednesday, UK Bank of England interest rate announcement on Thursday. Big week. So for Rune, the final line in the sand before calling it bear market death trap is $1.10. If it loses $1.10 in terms of here, financial trap, we want to make sure we're not getting caught in this. If it continues to rally, beautiful. Somebody's going to make tons of profit. Could be huge, like 100% to 2% profit. You have to understand what the downside risk is negative 50%. So it's not all in play, in my opinion, especially with the size of the altcoins and the actual project itself. All right. So let's keep going here. Usually I don't show this, but because of what's happening this week, let's just look at the VIX right now. So this is the volatility S&P 500 index relating to stock market volatility on a daily. You hear the news and traders reference this. So now I'm jumping back to stocks right now just to show in terms of the VIX. Now, before we end the stream, is what's going on here in the VIX. Last time we had support. I might look at a weekly VIX. All right, it's not at any extreme right now, but are we on a support level? We kind of are. That's why we're going to watch out for that. The 6-month trend line support of a VIX in terms of volatility. There could be something bad brewing here. Even without thinking about earnings, something could be brewing here with the volatility. We had this low, last pandemic low, March, April, January 2020 low, and then here as well. So it's going to be a make or break spot. This week is pretty important for earnings. It's going to set the whole tone for the next quarter as well. If the VIX breaks down, then we can see maybe we'll be in good shape. But if the VIX spikes up all of a sudden for next month, we're in trouble. All right. Quickly jump back to crypto, and then we'll probably just end the stream. I'll just do visuals for the rest of these altcoins. I'm on Cardano now. Cardano attempting the breakout. Watch out for the stop loss, 25 to 30% down. But as long as we never really go below 33 cents on Cardano, it could stay alive. XRP, for people in Europe who like XRP, we have our 33-cent support level. Maybe a suspicious head and shoulders, so it's kind of up in the air right now. But as long as we don't really go, again, below that 33-cent level, it should be okay. It's still in the down cross right now, but it's trying to tighten up and really, it could be actually a new triangle formation here. Large symmetrical triangles. You could see the large 35-cent area could be that low support area. AVAX. I remember calling out AVAX saying this is our support area around the $11 and a very nice bounce if anybody got in on this, 100% profit. You just want to make sure we're not going to get caught in the lower high bounce. Does it make sense? Low, high, low, high, low, high. And somebody says, oh, AVAX 100%, and they buy this thing and it crashes on them. That's too late. Too late. That's sometimes crypto, it is about timing. If somebody was here in November, December, nice entry. Somebody buying now, it's mixed, actually. Could come down. Again, depends on the fundamentals as well. It's more of a continuation, maybe. DOT, dot, talked about this many times, dot near support level of $4. It could have went down to about $2.60 or $3, but it stopped and rallied with Bitcoin. Let me actually redraw this. I'm seeing something here. There we go. So dot trying to have its breakout. Dot attempting to break out right now, right? So it depends on somebody's time frame. If they're going to hodl and hold for 10 years, do they have to look at the charts every single 5 minutes? No. Do they have to look at it every day? Maybe every week? Probably yes. So it depends. If somebody's a day trader, a swing trader, or an investor, it's three totally different mindsets and styles. For me, I'm on the longer term side usually. I still do some day trading if there's some interesting opportunities, but for me personally, if we're gonna bottom out, let's just pretend if this year past 3 months is the bottom of the market, then why am I gonna sell tomorrow? I want to hold this thing for as long as possible as an investor. It's a different mindset. There, and if you're in the shorter term mindset, it's okay. That's your style, your strategy. There's plenty of day trading streams here on TradingView or YouTube during market hours. People who day trade to their heart's content, and that's their business. All right, Dogecoin trying to bounce off the support level. Dogecoin not really breaking out. We had a fake out once before. That's what I'm saying. Just watch out for the fake outs. When we had the real one, then you want to. I might even buy some more Dogecoin myself here, but we had to break out above 10 cents. Shiba Inu, here's an example, right? Finally hit my target of 40%. I think I told this on the stream like 30 days ago. It took a long time to get there, right? And sometimes you remember a week later, it went down into my stop loss, but that's what I'm saying. Once I commit to my risk to reward ratio of this, for example, 1% maximum loss per trade, 2% minimum gain per trade. And this number, it is different depending on somebody's account size or on their metrics. But in terms of the 2-to-1 ratio, was it 2-to-1? Yes. Reward 40%, risk 20%. Measure the size of the capital. How long do I have to wait for that? 45 days. That sounds normal. And now, if anybody bought this, congratulations. Now it depends on the target. It becomes trade management. Am I going to sell all now? Well, hold on. What if this thing blasts off to 3,000 and we're leaving 177% on the table? That's why it depends, right? Could take some profit because 40% takes some. I might take some and hold on to it and just leave it in there for later. At least take some of my principal out. But this is a good example of the patience it takes. And even if it kind of creeps down to my stop loss, I'm not going to panic and sell and turn my computer off. That's not what we do. You got to stick with it. What I learned is commit to it. Commit, meaning don't be an emotional mindset. I'm talking to myself right now. And some people, they don't like it when I talk to them like this, but you know, I'm sharing my thought process. So I'm actually just kind of talking out loud right now. But you're free to do whatever you want. Your money, your strategy, your life, right? I'm sharing some of my style and strategies, and some people, they actually don't like it, but to each their own. As a trader and investor, it's a free world. The market doesn't even care. The market doesn't even know what's going on. It's just a bunch of algorithms and numbers. All right. So Shiba Inu, hopefully this thing holds above a $800 range. And if this is true, this large triangle should go more in the future. It could go all the way to 2000. So that's why it might not be over right now. But on the downside, you could easily see that, wait a second, if we reject down, all right, we could go back down 800 and back and then lost all the gains. So it depends on somebody. Are they going to take some profit, leave it into ride? Do you think we're going to keep going up 100 more percent? That's another trader investment decision for another time. Matic, same thing. If you bought here, we're going sideways and we had a nice breakout, 33%. Now, 25% of the breakout, it could go additional to the upside, 138. Could fall back down to about 77 cents. That would stop out as well. So those are the two levels I'm watching out for on Matic. Adam identified this higher low, and whoever bought this or looked at it, learned from it, is nice 60, 50, 60%. Near is different. Near, if you look in the past, we had our lower downward trajectory. We had this nice pop up. It's going to take more time for altcoins to reverse to the upside. So one overbought scenario is not the final kind of area. Litecoin, very nice. I think somebody asked me about this maybe a month ago in terms of what's going to happen with Litecoin. So we drew the symmetrical triangle, 50% from the breakout, which we did have, almost a fake out, but still survive. And then we went 60, 70%, hit both of our targets. So that particular setup is done now. Now the price and the crypto market is saying, let's golden cross and get out of here, because Litecoin already is one of the first ones to golden cross. So if it's going to hold, we got to hold. If the market's going to crash, okay, we got to wait for the next time. But if it's going to hold and it's going to blast to the moon, at some point, somebody's got to get in. All right, I'm not going to do all these. And I don't want to end too bullish, so please be aware. Again, we have stock earnings this week, FOMC interest rate meetings. For the next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we probably see considerable amount of volatility in the stock market, which might spill over to the crypto market. So I'm going to be on my toes, watching every day. And if there's good entries, make entries. If I have old positions, got to make some decisions about what I'm going to do with those, right? But mostly is if something's in profit, I want to make sure I keep the profit, right? Can't just keep going back down to break even. It doesn't make any sense. For example, what I'm talking about is if somebody had, let's say, bought here just randomly at a random example, $58.32, then a stop loss here. And let's say they almost got stopped out, or they did get stopped out, right? And then they just quit the market. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Let's say somebody bought this blue line, it went up, and they did not take their profit, and then they let it crash on them because of bad news, and then they quit the market and say this is a scam. It is kind of true, right? In terms of if there's no plan, again, it's gambling. There's very little strategy. So it feels like a scam. Crypto trading is like a scam. But then why did this reverse? Well, super oversold on short-term time frames. And then once we get back inside here, there's another trade to be had, another higher low here. So that's why it all depends on somebody's like knowledge and skill level and strategy. Sometimes you get these like weird breakout, fake outs, and then it's just anomaly in terms of even if I don't know the explanation and the news, it just happens. So who cares? Just move on, learn from it. That's why one trade should never destroy somebody's account or career. So you have multiple trades. You can just move on. Emotionally move on, learn from it. Next trade. Enter here, $58. All right, next dip. All right, crypto's going up. Okay, I'm gonna enter here, $63, and then you're up in the money right now. It's golden up cross. So if that pattern stays true, you could see there could be another pullback opportunity in the future, say around the $90 mark. High, low, you might get another entry at 86.90, right? It's for the future. So it's never over completely. It's just the higher something gets, the more risk there is. All right. Thank you so much for watching and following, everybody. I went like 20 minutes over, so I'm pretty much going to call it here. And, if you like this stream, if you learned something, please consider donating or following on any of these platforms: TradingView, YouTube, Twitch, and Discord. Hope you have a nice week. I am probably going to be focusing a lot on stocks and crypto this week, as will other traders. Now, for next week, I'll probably return on February 5th Sunday or February 6th, depending on my schedule. I'll try to stream on Sunday, February 5 at night. All right, thank you, everybody. Hope you have a good one, and see you next time. Bye bye.